So every morning at about 4 o'clock, actually at exactly 4 o'clock in the morning, I have an email that pops into my inbox. And it's my own personalized daily intelligence brief. And the way that I created this thing was using an RSS feed. And I'll get into how I made it in just a second. And I actually think this is a really good project if you're looking to get into cybersecurity or IT, because it exposes you to a lot of different things that are relevant to working in cybersecurity and in IT. You'll deal with APIs. You're going to deal with AI. You're going to deal with a cloud environment. You'll get to work with some scripting, and so it's all a bunch of things that I think are handy to know, good to actually say that you've worked with and get some hands-on experience with, and also it actually provides a pretty cool product that you can use in your daily life. And if you're trying to get into cybersecurity, especially, one of the questions that you will get asked when you go to an interview is how do you keep yourself current on the happenings in cybersecurity and news. And that will be a great opportunity for you to say, well, actually, I designed and built my own RSS feed that takes RSS links and feeds them through a script that I wrote on a cloud server where it's hosted to an AI using an API key, and you can just kind of go through the whole thing, showing that you've got some experience working with those elements, all to say, and then I get an email in my inbox every morning that shows me all of the information that I'm particularly interested in to help myself keep current in cybersecurity. And there's a couple of more things that I think are handy to do in that respect as well. And I'll do another video about what my stack looks like as far as email inbox, feeds, podcasts that I listen to. But for right now, I think this is actually a really handy project. No, you're not setting up a SIEM on a home lab or enumerating your home network, but I think this is pretty valuable. And if you're really not that technical, this is a great starting point to get your feet wet a little bit. All right, so let's talk about what an RSS feed is. RSS stands for really simple syndication. And all that it is basically most major news sources, most big organizations will have a means of getting out their articles in a computer readable format called an RSS feed. This is not where you'd actually navigate to their website, click on a link, and be able to read it with the pictures and all the nice human readable format that we like. This is meant for computers to be able to digest, which is what we want. So how this whole project is set up is you're going to go and find all the RSS feeds that you're interested in. You can go to different websites like rss.com, RSS Finder, I think is another one. You can look for the information you want by category, whether it's, travel, Disney, food, or cybersecurity, and you'll pull all the RSS feeds that you want, and they're literally just links or URLs that the organizations will put out, and you're going to put those into the script that we're going to be making here in just a minute. So speaking of the script, we're going to be using Python to generate a script for us that's going to run all the things that we want to have happen, from pulling the scripts to sending them off to your favorite AI. I use Claude in this instance, to getting them back and then pushing those off to your email in the morning. And don't worry, you don't have to be that good at scripting, or you don't have to really have ever scripted in your life, and you can still do this because AI. I'm not very, very technical with scripting, and I used AI, I used Claude to help me write this script, and it works perfectly. Another thing that I mentioned that you're going to work with is a cloud environment. So you could run this process because it's just an automated process, right? It's going out, finding RSS feeds, it pulls them in, it sends them out to an AI to digest and turn into a summary, and then it sends it to your email. You can actually do that from your computer or from a server you have running in your house if you've got one. But if you're just kind of a normal user, or you're trying to get into cybersecurity or into IT, you probably just have a computer or a laptop in your house. You may not have a full-time dedicated server. So you could run it from your computer, but the problem is once you close your computer or turn it off, it's not going to run. So I don't have my computer or my laptop running 24 hours a day and just sitting open so that at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning I can start running the script. So that's why I hosted it on a cloud environment, in Google's cloud environment. And it's basically created what's called a cron job. And all cron job is in Linux, which is the cloud, what the cloud environment that Google uses is based off of. It's just an automated task. And I set it up there because it's always on, right? And then I set up a time frame for it to run every day at about 4 o'clock in the morning. So every day it spins itself up, it sends out, it executes the script, pulls all the RSS feeds in, follows the prompts that I use and sends it all to Claude. Claude pulls in all those scripts, follows the instructions that I gave it to pull out specific information, then it spits it back, wraps it up in an email, and then sends it to me every morning.
Easy peasy.
So how does this actually work and how do we get it set up? Before we actually start writing any kind of script, there's a couple things that will get set up on your own computer first. And then once you got that done, we'll start implementing the script, which I'll put my script posted below in the description. If you want to just use the one that I've got, you're more than welcome to, and just insert the URLs that you want for your RSS feed, and then you'll have to put in your API key, but the format will be there and it should work. And then you just need to plug it into a cloud environment or wherever you're going to run it, and it should be fine. So the first thing that you're going to want to install is Python. So if you don't have Python already on your computer, just go to Python's website, download the latest version. Then to double check that it's actually working, go into your computer, open up PowerShell. Once you're in PowerShell, type in Python space -- version and then hit enter. Once you do that, it should show a version in your terminal there. That is kind of confirmation that, yep, Python's been installed. Move on to the next step. So the next thing that we're going to install is something called Feed Parser. So what Feed Parser is the tool that we're going to use within our script that actually handles the RSS feeds. So it's going to take all that XML, it's going to take all that data coming from the RSS feeds, and it's going to put it into a format that Python can understand and work with. And the same thing here, we need to install it onto our system. So the way that you're going to do that is you're going to go into PowerShell, you're going to write pip space install space feed parser, click enter, and then it's going to download. After that's done, then we need to be able to connect with our AI of choice. I use Anthropic, I use Claude, and so that's the way I'm going to describe it here. So we need to download Anthropic's tool that lets our Python script interact with our Claude API. And don't worry, we'll get into that in a minute. But the way that you're going to do that is similar to how we installed Feed Parser. You're just going to type pip space install space Anthropic. And then the final thing that you need to do is find a file location on your computer. So just if you're on Windows, literally just go into Explorer, make a file someplace that's where you're going to house your script. And then in a minute when we make it, that's where you'll keep it. Okay, so now that we've got the infrastructure set up, we need to actually go and find our RSS feeds. And as I mentioned before, there's a couple of websites that you can use to help find them, rss.com, RSS Finder, or you can just go to the actual website that you're interested in and just put in RSS, and usually they'll have a link. And that's all it is. All you're trying to get is a link from them. And whether that's from the website or from the RSS Finder, you'll collect all of those links, all the ones that you think are going to have the information that would be valuable to you, and then you're going to save them. Now, if you want to test them out before you actually build out your whole script, you can just have Claude write you a quick test script, and it'll say something like feeds equals something, and then you'll put in all the different URLs, and you can have Claude or whoever you're using help you format it, and then you can run it right from your terminal, and it should pull up all the information that it finds. And what this is good for is, one, it'll help you see how the process works, but two, it'll also find dead RSS feeds. And dead RSS feeds are just what they sound like. They're not working anymore. Nobody's updating them. They're not working. So you want to be able to weed those out of your process so they don't interfere with your good working RSS feeds. The other big thing that you're going to want to do when we're in this step is add a time filter. And that'll get written into the script, but you don't want to have RSS feeds being pulled from the beginning of history. If you're doing this as a daily email or a daily brief or a weekly, you're going to want to set it for 24 hours or for 7 days or however often it's going to check back and pull those. But you only want it to go that far back so that it doesn't pull things that you've either already seen or be pulling way more information that you want. All right, so the next thing that we want to be able to do is be able to connect to our AI that we're going to use to digest all these RSS feeds that we're going to be downloading. Again, I use Anthropic, so that's the example that I'm going to use here. You probably could use any of the ones that you like, but this is the one that I used. So for Anthropic, you're going to go to console.anthropic.com and you're going to set up an account. Once you're in there, you do have to give them a credit card. I think it's maybe $5 minimum to cover the cost of them running the service for you, but you may pay a few cents every month, if that, for running a couple of RSS feeds in there, even if you do it every single day. So it's not CPU intensive for them on their side. So once you've created an account, you have to get an API key. And I think it says create new API key, and it'll give you one. Now, you need to treat this API key like it's a password, like it's a very important thing, because it is. You don't want to share it. You don't want to, put it into your AI as you're working and building it out. It's for you and you only. So you want to store it locally. And then once you build your script out and then you put your script into the cloud environment that you're going to run it on, you'll put your API key in there, but you don't want to share it. Treat it like a password, because what it is when you run your script, that's your credential that when it reaches out to Claude or whatever AI you're using, it says, hey, this is my credential to say that I'm allowed to be here and that you're allowed to do this task for me, and it'll run it. But you don't want to put that out for other people to see, because then they can use it And then your bill might go racking up after that because somebody else is using your API key to do who knows what. So keep it personal, keep it secret, keep it safe, as Gandalf would say, and let's move on. The other thing that we're going to do as it relates to AI in this project is we need to create a prompt or maybe several prompts within our script. And what they're going to do is they're going to tell the AI that you use, Claude in this instance, exactly what you want it to do with the RSS feeds that is being given. So it will get this huge download of data from these RSS feeds, and it's going to get your prompt that goes with it. And for mine, I was specifically interested in certain information, so I wrote in there exactly what I wanted it to do. Disregard this information, not interested in this. I only want it from 24 hours ago. And I'm looking specifically for this type of information, pull it out, formulate it into a brief or a summary, and then send it back. So that's what you have to design, and it'll be in the script as well. And I'll show you where that goes in just a minute. Okay, so now we've got our infrastructure set up. We've found all the RSS feeds that we want. We've got our connection to our favorite AI API. So the next thing we need to do is figure out how we're going to get all that data that we sent and kind of package nicely and get it into your email. So now what we need to do is set up something called an SMTP connection. And all that is actually how email works kind of under the hood. It's a network protocol for sending emails back and forth to one another. Now, when we want to be able to authenticate our script being able to email to your email, you can't just use your regular email credentials. You have to create an app password. And in Google, you'll go into your account settings, you're going to have to create an app password and it'll get one to you. And that's what you're going to put in your script to authenticate yourself when it tries to send this email from the server to your Gmail account or Outlook or whatever it is that you use. Now, within your script, you can have Claude or whoever's helping you write your script give it details about what you want your email to look like, the color of the background, if you want to include a logo or anything else, but that'll all be within the script. You can edit that to make it to your liking. So after you've got everything packaged up, you're going to build an HTML template. Claude or whoever's writing your script for you will build it, which is going to package up all of your data and information into a way, in a format that your email is going to be able to understand it and be able to send it. So once you've got all the data in there and the full script's done, you can actually run it from your terminal. You don't even have to be in the cloud yet. We'll get to that in a minute. But you can run the full script from your terminal. And when it's run, if you write your script the right way, it should send you an email. It should send you a message back in your terminal saying that the email was sent successfully. You can go check your email and it should be sitting right there for you. And at this point, this is where the troubleshooting starts, or it may have actually started a few steps ago. If things don't work, or if you're not getting a feed from a certain source, or something's not working right, troubleshoot it. Talk to your AI agent or to whatever you're working with to figure out why it's not working. It might just be a simple misspelling somewhere, because syntax matters when you're scripting. So double check it, start doing your troubleshooting, that's real world, and figure out what your problem is until it works right. All right, now for the last part of this, we need to get this process off of your local computer and into the cloud. And if you're brand new to cybersecurity or IT, the cloud sounds way more ethereal than it actually is. It's literally just buildings all over the world that are filled with servers, and you're just connecting remotely to them, and they're doing the process over there on their computers, essentially, instead of you doing it locally on yours. That's all that it is. Your email that you use, all of it's stored in the cloud, right? Your emails that you have in your inbox are not stored on your computer. You're connecting to a server in a building in Virginia somewhere, or wherever the case may be, right? And you're just pulling the information and it's displaying itself on your screen. So I know it's super basic if you've already been in cybersecurity or in IT, but if you're not and you don't know what it is, you need to know what it is. And that's what it is. So I ran this on the Google Cloud server because I have a Gmail account and it just worked nicely together. So you'll go to console.google.com if that's where you're going to set it up. You can sign in with your Gmail credentials. You'll create a new project. You can name it, Morning Brief or whatever you want to call it. And that's what you're going to work inside of to build out this process. So within the console, what you're going to look for is the Google Cloud Run process. That's where you're going to actually put your script in, and it's going to run that for you and actually do the thing that you want it to do. So once you're in the Cloud Run function, you're going to select Python as your editor. That'll tell it what language is supposed to read it. You'll fill out a couple more details, which I'm not going to go into that much detail on, but you can use your AI assistant to help you figure out which ones you need to pick. And it'll be a little bit of troubleshooting back and forth. That's what it was for me. So then you're going to go to the inline editor. You're going to copy your script from wherever you saved it locally in your computer, and you're going to plug it into there. Now, again, you'll have to do a little bit of troubleshooting in here to get the settings right. I'm not going to go into detail for that. It's not very hard to figure out. It'll maybe take you 20, 30 minutes as you're getting this set up in this portion, a little back and forth with your AI assistant. It's not hard to figure out. But once you've got everything done, you're going to save it, and then you're going to deploy it. Now, one thing that I will note is that Google Cloud Run has a timeout function where if it doesn't finish the process in so many seconds, it'll just automatically close itself out. So if you've got a lot of RSS feeds that you're trying to get in, you might want to extend that timeout function from, I think it's 25 seconds is the normal timeout, to I think you can go all the way up to like 3,000 seconds, and that'll make sure it stays open. It doesn't close itself out if it's just taking a long time to pull in all the data that you're trying to get. All right, so at this point, you've set up the infrastructure, you've pulled your RSS feeds, you've connected to an AI API, you've built out a script, you've got it running on a cloud server, and now we have to schedule the task. Okay, so to get this thing up and running, to actually make it do the thing that you're wanting it to do, you need to set up a scheduled task, or a cron job, is what they call in a Linux-based environment. So you're going to go to Google's Cloud Scheduler, which is a function, I think it should be on the left-hand side of the dashboard, and that's where you can actually schedule your function to run however frequently you want it to actually run. All right, so once you're in there, now you have to designate when you want your job to run. The way that Linux does this is by putting up 5 little stars, each one representing different times, like seconds, hours, days, months, and years. And you have to set those appropriately to actually send out the email however frequently you want the email sent, or for the Google Scheduler to run this process however frequently you want it to run. All right, so you're going to create a job on the scheduler. You're going to go through the process of scheduling when you want it to run. So what you're going to do is, once you created your job, you need to go back to your Cloud Run function dashboard, and you're going to pull a URL, because it'll have created one for you that this is the URL that will start the job. And you're going to paste that URL into your Cloud Scheduler. And at whatever time you designate, it's going to poke that scheduler to say, hey, run this URL. When it runs the URL, it's going to run your whole script, which will reach out to your RSS feeds, pull them in, send them to your API, or through your API to whatever AI infrastructure you're using. It will do its job of parsing through all of them, pulling up data, creating a brief, sending it back, and then finally emailing the final product to your inbox every morning, or however often you want it to end up there. Now, while you're in here and you've got that set up, you can force the job to run, which will just let you kind of test it out. So you have to wait till the next morning to see if it actually runs. And if it works, great, set your schedule and you're off to the races. All right, and so that's it. Again, it's not a super technical, home lab or project, but if you've never done anything like this before, it's going to be more technical than you've done in the past. But if you just stick to it, if you're working with an AI to kind of help you walk through step by step, it's not that difficult. It may take you, an hour or two if you're kind of working through the process, but it's really neat building something that actually works. Whereas the next morning you're going to wake up and all of a sudden, boom, that email is going to be in your inbox, showing you all the information that you actually care about. And it's cool because that information is important to you, but also you built the process that created the information to end up in your inbox. And I think that's pretty cool. I think it gives you some talking points. I think it gives you some experience that will be relevant to future employers. And it's also giving you information that they're going to want to know that you are getting on a daily basis, or at least on a regular basis. Okay, well, I hope that was helpful, and I hope that maybe that's something that you can use as a starter project. And if you're interested in these kind of things, follow along for more projects I'll have coming up. I'll do one on setting up a home lab for a SIEM. I'll do one on enumerating your network probably. There's a couple I've got in mind, but if you're interested in this kind of stuff, I also put up videos pretty frequently that talk about government or military issues related to cybersecurity and AI, which is one of the feeds that I set up and get information on every morning. So if you're interested in that, also feel free to check back in or follow along if that's something that would interest you. All right, have a good one. Talk to you later.